successfully completed its 10th year and it is in its 11th year with many successful projects like Conquer Colombo, Jumpstart, and Project Sneha to its credit. So it's time to start the session. Now I would like to call upon our respectable chief guest, Mr. Nalin Ranasinghe, to enlighten us on how to be successful when facing interviews. So, sir, you can proceed now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to all of you all.
You're welcome,
Uh,
sir. Good evening.
sure. Right
Doing
now, we'll start from some general areas. Are you all going to host me or just shall I go through the session? Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
yes.
okay, done. Right. If you all can't hear me or if my words are not so clear, please let me know.
Okay,
So
sir.
I will be, you can send me a note or a message. So I
Yeah.
will know that you all won't be able to have that direct communication with me. Right. Starting with interviews. Interviews are something very similar when it comes to our life. You meet people, you speak to people, and you can still remember when your parents take you for the first grade for the interview. And there you can remember them giving a lot of information about you. They ask a lot of information about the kid. And at one point, though you can't remember, your parents are trying their best to convince the people who are at the panel that they should take you into the college. Thereafter, when you go old, you can remember, you meet friends, you meet a lot of people, and you try to choose those people by having a conversation with them. During that conversation, you have some, I would say, things that you have in mind about what sort of a person you are looking for, maybe for a friendship or maybe for your marriage. And during that conversation, you try to ask questions from that personality to get the feedback you have in mind, which you are trying to match of the expected perceptions with the answers given. Okay, now this is the rationale. You need to understand this. Any company will first have this position, whatever the position they have in mind, will have a spec and description, and they will try their best to see who is the best. When they advertise, you read through the application, you read through the advertisement, you feel that, okay, I will fit into this. I will be a good potential candidate. I should apply. Send the CV through to the organization. It will come to the HR function. We try to shortlist based on the basic requirements elaborated on the paper advertisement. Thereafter, we will go through what you are, who you are, and what is the potential of yours to take over this position what we have in mind and grow you with continuous improvements to take over not the next level, but the highest level you can go in that career path. That is a very short summary of what a company will look at when it comes to an interview. Okay, now we will go back to you all, because since most of you all are just after A-levels, you might have a fear. Okay, how are we going to ensure that we are the best people? We can do much more better than this when it comes to an interview. Why we are fear? Because we don't know what is our capabilities. I will take you through because I want you all to understand about yourselves, because this is the point that I'm going to make you when it comes to these interviews. If I ask the question of how many of you all know about your capabilities? Now, I have gone through a lot of CVs. In some CVs, you have said that you have done sports. In some CVs, you all have said that you all have done some social activities. In some CVs, you are trying your best to elaborate on who you are with a lot of experience you all have during the course of your college time, or maybe just after joining to a club like this, and what is your strengths. But you never talk about what is your potential. Potential is a value tag. Qualifications will give you some sort of a strength of fighting the battle, of getting a job. But the potentiality will give you the place that you are looking for. Going back to the potentiality. Okay, what is this potentiality is all about? Potentiality is what is your capabilities? What you can deliver? How much the qualifications of yours can be transformed to work, results, deliverables in an organization. As people who are just starting your career, you might not have a price tag. You might not see this as a long-term journey. You might see this as, okay, I need to get an opportunity to prove myself. So you're trying your best to communicate during the interview to show that you are the best person out of the rest who we should take in. But in the process also, I see communication do matters. To be very honest, there are people who I have seen who have the best knowledge out of the rest, cannot convince about their capabilities to the panel. Why? We are doing some psychometric testing to see whether this person's abilities match with what they are talking. You might say that, okay, there are people who try to give something out which not the actual case of it. No, not only that. When you are trying to face an interview, you are intentionally doing that. You have the intention, you have the focus. Just like this, you are looking at me, and this will be a very similar type of an interview where you will be listening to me. Now, I will be on the panel or the other side of the panel where you will be sitting just like me. Try to convince about yourself. Now, during that process, since you can't ask questions from me, but the panel will be definitely asking questions from you. Now, those questions, sometimes you never listen to the question. They will be asking questions, but you will be giving the answers for predetermined things you all have in mind. Why we are doing that? We are not ready. We don't know who we are. I will give you some tips. Mirror yourself first. Before now, I was just like you all, just after maybe A-levels, maybe just after my higher education, looking for a job, sitting for interviews, and waiting for these people to ask about your strengths, waiting to see, okay, just ask this question, I will give you the best answer I do have. Just like, when you have a friend, when you have someone in a networking circle. When a topic comes in, where you think, okay, this is the best I know that I should give out, you give that entire thing what you know to the circle. But is this what is expected? No. First, you need to know who you are. First, you need to know what is your actual competencies. We do psychometric testing, unintentional scope of yours. In time to come, this one-on-one interviews might happen, might not happen. But definitely, the psychometric testing assessment centers will happen. I don't know whether you all familiar with assessment centers. Assessment centers came into light because it was discovered when someone sits for an interview, he gives you an answer, but when it comes to the recruitment and after onboarding plan, you see the break even. You know what is the break even after onboarding? Onboarding is you come into the system and there is a period where you run your deliverables negatively. That is, the company will not achieve anything by having you in the system. Now, people who are having the expected competencies will have a short number of months until they reach the level of break even is where neither you are giving any support, any contribution to the bottom line of the organization, and not a profit even, but you are coming to a 0-0 level. From there, you start giving things to the organization with some different type of a scope of your own competencies. Now, that is potential. If that break-even time is less than 3 months, what we have chosen, the person who have come into the system is a success. Your success rate is between 80% to 100%. Now, for you to become that type of a person, how and what you need to do, that is where I'm going to give you some tips. I feel that this is the brief. What is an interview? Why you need to face the interview effectively? And what is the perspective of organization when it comes to taking you on board? Am I clear? Can I get 1 or 2 people's feedback on whether you have understood up to this point why you need to be effective and why you need to know who you are and what you need to talk and what is your level of competencies you have inside when it comes to an interview? Can I have at least 1 person or two giving the feedback on this?
Yeah, sir, we got it.
You got it, is it?
Sir, we got it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Right. Now you understand why we need this, because we will go one by one, why we need this and what you need. Now, the next question is what you need to do. The what should come with how many of we do a pre-session of ourselves before you come to an interview. You send the CV, you wait for the call coming into you, waiting for the call. When the call comes in, you always say, okay, this is the time, and you first try to give the first impression by having the best dress you have, and you try to take a small note of what this company is all about, what this position will be. Mirror ourselves. How many of you all mirror yourselves before you thinking of going for an interview? why have I applied for this position? What are the strengths I do have when it comes to this position? What can I do better than anyone else in this world, I would say, if I'm selected for this position? And the most important factor here is the confidence factor. I see people walk into the interview panel or just coming into an interview room, interview board with lot of stigma. There, these people start stammering, right? Why they do that? Because you don't have confidence. Why do you don't have the confidence? Because you're not prepared. You have a fear of facing. Now think of you going to meet a friend's party or something like that, where you are trying to give some sort of a small speech of a friend, about a friend. How much you get ready for it? How much things that you try to understand about this guy before you talking about it? But have we done the same thing when you're trying to go for an interview? Not to find someone else's capabilities or characteristics, but of yourself. Who are you? What can you do? And what is the link in between your strengths to deliver what is expected from that position? It may be a management training position or a management training scheme where you have applied for. When the question asked from you all, why do you think that we should hire you rather than thinking of someone else being given the same opportunity? They always say, when I ask the same question from the people, they always used to tell me, so it's like this, I have these qualifications. I know that I can do better. I know that my capabilities might give you some sort of pluses to the organization. Is that what is expected? No. You should always think of what have you at least done. Maybe in a situational leadership type of a occurrence where you talk of, okay, if it's to do something like a leadership, you might say, okay, so you know that I was having this type of a project done. And during that project, I'm the one who led the project. I have four or five people in my team. And I was able to do these things with my strength. And I'm the one who gave the directions. I'm the one who led them. I'm the one who had the accountability. I'm the one who did the post and pre changes or the directions to the project. Now see the effectiveness of you talking about yourself. See how much of a build or how much of a plus points you are trying to talk about you in front of a panel. It is not your father. Sometimes some people used to talk about the parents, the connections they do have. All have gone to ages and it won't happen again. In time to come, we might look at your family to say whether you have that link of having a good family, and if you have any problems where you cannot have 100% attention to the work when you start work with us, only those areas we will be looking at. Qualifications, yes. I have seen people who are having PhDs, doctorates, but could not transform the knowledge they have achieved, acquired, when you ask a very simple type of a question. Because they always think with a bigger wavelength, very big one. You can't start with a bigger wavelength. You have to start from the sketch. And people management. When you ask the question about people management, how friendly you are, you never get there. So the main key points you need to understand here when it comes to an interview will be you not talking about your big qualifications, big things what you have done, but related to this position, what you are capable of. What are your competencies which we can get value out of it to the organization? What is your connection to the value stream of the organization if we select you? Now, I have given you some hints about the question of what. Now you have the question again, how are we to do this? Now I told you all why we are doing the interviews and what is expected. And now we are going to the answering of the question, how? How many of you all, I can't get the answer direct, read books, read newspapers to see what is happening all over. Read books to understand what are the new trends in the world. What is happening all around. Now, you might say, no, we do have this phone. You might have all the details on the phone and you get the details to the phone. But are those the ones will inspire you or inspire someone else by giving those knowledge to outsiders? No. How many of you all have heard about emotional intelligence? EQ, not IQ. How many of you all have heard about PDR? How many of you all have heard about MBTI? How many of you all have heard about PI tools? Now you might say, no. Since you are there in the HR department for so long time, you might be the one who will be working with them and always reading those books. Because of that, you all those knowledge are in your fingertips. No. I also do read. I also do read at least half an hour per day of the new trends. But I haven't seen in the new generation, they want to improve themselves, but they want someone to grab them, although they are not competitive. Are we competitive? You are competitive in your dresses when it comes to the competition, right? Other guys, they do have muscles, right? I want to compete with the guy, go to a gym. The girls, you see the girls wearing some new clothes and you think, I want to be more competitive than those girls. You go for a new clothing. How many of you have tried to compete your knowledge, your capabilities with someone else without having jealousy factor? Now, when it comes to competition, you always start with the jealousy factor. It's not. And how many of you do have a role model in your lives? How many of you have seen someone who has come in his life with certain level of commitment and think of, okay, this is how I need to start up my career? We don't. But you expect that the interview, all that to be think to a CV and taken you in for a position. Are you ready for the interview? Have you asked the question, are you ready before you come to an interview? No, you never ask that question. Why you don't ask? You think, no, interview is a place where you just face. Since I'm a very good communicator, I know that I can convince these guys who will be there, and I know that I can always talk about my college ventures, what I have done with the Hot Track Club and blah, blah, blah. Do you think that will serve? Earlier it was the case, but not now. We scientifically check whether this person is bluffing or giving the factual outcome of this person's actual life. We compare. We do that beforehand. And when you come to an interview, we always have that piece of paper on the table. And when we ask the questions also, we relate few areas which you unintentionally given the feedback on the scientific methodologies or the psychometric testings. Then we know whether this person can be trusted, because, you know, qualifications, skills, all those, even you are taken into an organization, we can improve. But we can't improve attitudes. We'll never be able to improve an attitude. So you first have to think of whether you are a positive attitude type of a person or a negative attitude type of a person. If you are a negative attitude of a person, why it has happened to you? What made you to look at things negatively? First change yourself. That is the question. Are you ready to face an interview? Are you having the knowledge, not about others, but about you, but about the strengths you have, but about how you are capable of? Because when you face the interview, when you go to the interview, they might not ask those questions directly. But when you have the knowledge, you always connect that with some sort of a area that you have in. That is the reliability. That is what we always expect. Something more than we expect from this person. So when you have 5 guys, we take the first guy, the second guy, the third guy, the fourth guy, then the fifth guy, and then we sit and discuss, okay, who has the best potentiality of growing himself along with the organization, which he will contribute more than expected. Are we there? That is my question. Why we have a fear? Because we are not there. We are very famous to have shortcuts. When you go on the road also, you will see, you try to, when the traffic is terrible, you try to see what is the best. You Google and see. And when the Google map gives you a place where you will be nowhere, right? We are very famous for that. At the interview also, some people, they do think in the same way, a shortcut. You think that, okay, just give it a try and see. And when you go there, you are not prepared at all. You're not even going through that. Some people, they do come for an interview, not even going through their own CV. When you ask a question, okay, in whatever the year, you have been with this place, and what is your contribution to that? Yeah, I was there, but I can't still remember. Can you remember during your college times, what are the most important things that you can talk about in an interview? Being a prefect is not an achievement, but by being a prefect, what's the changes you have made in the college? What are the new innovative ideas you have given to your panel, the principals, the teachers, where the college has thought of, okay, this guy is giving something new. We should walk with this person's thoughts. Those add value. Not being a prefect, maybe the chairperson or the secretary of a club like yours. It's not the position. It's what you have done in the position. That is what matters. So that is how part of it. You need to know beforehand where you stand today. Then, if you think that you need to have more knowledge, add you more value to yourself, do that before the interview. Then you read the position. What is this position? And you see yourself. Go to that boots of that position and see what gives you plus and what gives you minuses. If you are selected to take that position on. Minuses, read through again. See what you can do. If they fire a question on those negative lines, what can I talk about of your own life experience that they will have some confidence about you? That is your getting prepared. So that is how. If I talk about the how factor, there are a lot of areas. Another one area I would say, you have to start everything with end in mind. That is a law I always believe in. When you start a project, when you start your process of interviews, have the end always in your mind when you start that. You becoming, you are receiving the letter of appointment from that head of HR before you even going for the interview. If you to do that, redo what are the things that you have to do for you to have that in your hand. That is end in mind. Most people give it a try. We'll see what I can do. And you think that going for series of interviews give you exposure for you to face the interview, next interview. That's a myth. If you have to do that, you know, during your maybe college times, you never sit for A-level for 10 or 15 times to go to an university. No? First impression is the first time you can give it. Either you give it or you fail it. When you select for a position, applying for a position, you need to know whether this the position, is this the capabilities you have in mind. Excuse me. That is where how comes, are you prepared for it? When the preparation done, first you need to be very, 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 very confident of yourself connecting to that position, what you are going to apply. Once that you tick that, then the preparation time comes. Then you have to get prepared for yourself. There are a lot of areas that you need to think of, but I don't think that as a person who just trying to start your career, start your life, career in the sense the professional life, I should give all those details because it might confuse you. I don't want to confuse you as well. How long?
9747.
So right.
Commensurate chapter.
Can I have, okay, I think that, okay, I have done the main body of it. I think it's better if we can have a dual way of communication. That is, if you can ask questions, it will be more effective for me to give answers where you will be also more comfortable on that. If not, you can send, you can send the questions, or you can put the chat, put your questions on the chat. Where I will give you the answers.
Yeah, guys, you can unmute yourself or use the chat forum. Please proceed.
Let me know whether you understood what I told you. That is very important for me.
Yes, sir.
No question will be a foolish question. Nothing to worry. This is something to do with your own self. Nothing to be worried about the panel. Now, most of you all think, who will be in the panel? That fellow is there in the panel. Oh my God, that fellow is a fellow who has this much of a knowledge, this much of experience. Don't know whether he will ask big questions. No, nothing. Never be afraid of a panel as long as you have your self-confidence. When you're prepared, my dear friends, you don't have to be cautious about anything because it's you. It's you. If you know yourself, you're going to present yourself in an interview. So I have given some tips. It is nothing to do with if the qualifications are okay, if all the other factors given in the advertisement is okay. What you have to get prepared is you need to know what will be yourself into that position and what you need to emphasize, you need to talk about when they question about you. That is the most important thing. Okay, any questions? Over to you all.
Hello.
Yeah.
So you said that the skills can be refined later, but the attitudes matter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But first you also said that the psychometric test is essential, but the interviews may not come for because of that. But according to that statement, there's a little contradiction, yeah?
It's like this here. When you are applied for an interview, you are supposed to, thank you very much for the question. Very good question. Now, when you applied for a position, you are tested with what your capabilities in two stigmas. One is on behavioral, other one is on cognitive. Cognitive is more on to whether your thought processes are in line with the position. But when it comes to skills, there may be things which you might not have done ever in that position, which when you read through the job description, which are completely new. You take an engineering position, you come into an engineering position where your project knowledge is not there at all. But we never check the project knowledge, but we check the knowledge on engineering, knowledge on the potentiality on engineering part, and see whether your behavioral and cognitive thought processes align with the position. But when you are into the position and when you take over the position, we might have to send you to or make you a project manager, where the project management knowledge, the skill might not be your forte at that position. That skill can be improved, but when it comes to the attitude, why should I do projects? I'm an engineer, right? I am not come here to do projects. I thought I will be handling the lines, I will be handling the engineering part of it. So I don't know whether I can do this or not. Oh, that is attitude. That is attitude. If that attitude portion of it, or the part of it, you fail, you won't be able to get the job. But without the knowledge of project management, you might get the job because you will get that skill after you join. That is the two difference points I was trying to emphasize. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the question. Super. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
so you said that you'll do like a character checking and all, right? So does it
Yeah.
include like stalking our like say social media profiles and comparing those with what we say, like our personal lives as well, like our character, our personality?
Sure.
So like, how do you judge it? Like,
We do check the social media, yes, but not at the level of management trainees or executive trainees. We always check the social media for positions more than manager and assistant manager levels. Why we do that? Okay, usually I ask the question of why and how do you know by looking at a social media profile whether this person is suitable enough or not. In a social media profile, you see things which you unintentionally put in to communicate with your friends. You give some feedback about certain things in a social media more comfortably than being serious in an interview. Those be captured, my dear, can be captured. And those can give a long, a very strong history of, a strong knowledge of who this person is all about. We have done this for few people and few personalities. So I will give you some example. There's a position called continuous improvement managers. Those people do look at things in a different way, conceptualize things that they can do better, and give the concepts to the organization for them to change the concepts in the organization for betterment, for better profits or the returns. Now these people have, when you check the profiles in the social media, you see they are always give advices to people. When something comes up, they take the leadership. They always lead the team, and you see from the profiles, when there's a small, maybe a question asked, or when somebody asks whether can anyone gives me some sort of a lead to this type of thing, those guys jump in and give solutions. Those matters, but that is not 100. I would say if you take 100, it will be a 20% type of a percentage, but still those matters. Those matter a lot, because these are the things which we do at today's interviewing process, onboarding processes. Sometimes some people, they don't apply for jobs. You know, what we do is we go to the social media, see whether this person's capabilities, and try to headhunt him directly. We don't go through the headhunting companies now.
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
If you take the LinkedIn, you have a lot of areas which they give about yourself more than what you put into the CVs. Am I clear on that question and the answer?
Yes, yes. Sir.
Okay.
So it's mainly like, I have another question from someone who's not in the meeting.
Okay.
It's he wanted to know, like, if is there anything specific we need to know about, like, virtual interviews, how to face them, any tricks you'll make, like?
Virtual interviews are conducted earlier when it comes to the ability for we to see the person physically. We get a glance of that person's personality. But when it comes to virtual interviews today, we see that glance, that touch, day by day, it decaying. But at the same time, I would say, for virtual interviews, we are using a tool called PI tools. At the moment, we are using a tool called PI tool, Predictive Index, for we to understand this person's personality in details. But and we take the MBTI. You must have heard of MBTI, Myers and Briggs, right? Where we need to we send these people through those tools. Since we cannot see the guy, since we cannot physically meet the person, we send them through this tool and get a knowledge of this guy. And we get a Zoom call, because in a Zoom call also, it's not that much of a physical interaction that you can make. But still, we do that to see him per se, who this person is all about, to have a see and feel of that person.
Yeah.
But when it comes to virtuality, yes, in time to come, it will be virtual. Those people we all will be sent through maybe assessment centers through the virtual diagrams in contrast to what we were doing earlier on physical grounds. But if you ask the question of what is the success rate, I won't be able to answer that because we are just started getting that things in order for we to get these people into the system. So in another 1 year's time only we will know whether the people who we have contacted or with people who have selected through virtual interviews are having a more success rate than the physical interviews or not. Am I clear?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Good.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
There was some questions in the chat forum also. Can I repeat them?
Yeah, please.
What are the signs an interview is going badly, and what can we do then? And they are to turn it around.
Okay, good question. Very good question. Right. This is a feeler. This is a feeler. Now, you feel that, okay, it is going not good, so good for you. And when you feel that, pause. Give a small pause. Best. Give a smile. And try to, now, okay, you have open-ended and close-ended questions. You know what is open-ended question is? Where you ask the question where you can elaborate more about the answer. That is open-ended. Close-ended is either you have to say yes or no. You can always convert a close-ended question by your ability to an open-ended question and connect things which you feel that it will give you more strength, more comfort in that interview. That is the best way you can be more comfortable and turn the interview to the benefit of yours. And number two is listening. Sometimes some people, they don't listen. When you have 4 or 5 people asking maybe questions in an order or in a very in a way where you will see whether who is going to ask, who will be the next one, and you are also excited. Just pose yourself. If you are not sure about what they are asking, don't jump and answer. Ask the question again. Or paraphrase. You repeat the question and ask, okay, is this what you want from me, sir? Then you are very clear about your answer should be, what should be your answer. Otherwise, in the middle of your answer, when you feel that this is not what these people have asked because of the phases have gone down, you can't stop there. Come out and say, wow, it's a failure. Should not happen. You take the lead. You take the lead. If you are comfortable about yourself, you can always take the entire panel and you can lead it. If not, you will become a slave. The option is up to you. If you are not prepared, you become a slave. If you are prepared, you will lead. Up to you all to decide. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. So there's
Okay, no
another.
questions, is it?
Yes, there's another question.
Okay.
So can you explain more about the reliability of the job?
What do you mean by that?
You talk about reliability.
Reliability of the person of the job or the job.
Job,
Okay, now when
reliability
it
of
comes,
the job.
yeah, reliability,
Depends on the interview.
yeah. Now when it comes to a position, we'll take an example, then it will be easy for you, right? Now I'm going to recruit a HR executive, and someone now someone is in front of me for me to interview and take this person in. Okay. Now this reliability. Now you're asking about the reliability. Now I asked the question of, okay, whether he will be able to run the function without me on performance management. When you ask the question, and he might say, yes, of course, I can. Then I do have some sort of a confidence. Okay, this guy has some confidence about leading the team. Okay, then I ask second question. What is your plan of doing that? Then he might say, it's like this now. Now, you didn't tell now how many people are in the department? What is the process? Now, then only he will ask those questions. When you should ask the questions. When I ask the first question, you should pause me and you should ask the question of, okay, if need to lead, what is the processes? How many people you're talking of? And what is the methodology you're using? Without you asking, you jump the gun. You lose the reliability. When the second question comes, you can't go to the first question and ask the solutions for it. Am I clear? Okay? I'm clear, is
Yes.
it?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That's all. No? Is it okay? Is it okay? Are you all comfortable with what I have told? And before you all came to this session, have you all got some other areas that you shouldn't have even thought of? And I know that I have given some knowledge. I have shared my knowledge with you all. I want, when you go off from this session, you all have to have one very important point in your mind. You all are the people who decide for yourself. Your destiny is with you all, not with the others. So control your destiny. Don't let it cut loose, go to others where you will lose everything in your life, including an interview. Think of you, who you are, wherever you are, whatever you do, give that strength about yourself to you first without doing anything else. When you do that, you will be successful in an interview, in a career, in a position, in your professional life as well. Thank you very much. I think I have done. Are there anything that I need to answer?
Guys, is there any questions more?
Oh, excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
You mentioned about the MBTI. Is that like, will you all be giving like a quiz or like a questionnaire to the candidates, or?
Correct. We give them a link and they have to answer. When they answer, we will be getting a feedback on that person's personal characteristics and the way he will behave. You are given a very short period, so because of that, you can't intentionally the feedback. You get the correct feedback of a person.
Sorry, the line was breaking in the middle. What if someone intentionally
It's
put
very
false
difficult
answers?
to intentionally give the feedback. But even if they give intentional feedback, that also will be captured in the newer systems. If you give intentionally, if you give, because there may be few questions repeatedly asked in the first 1 or 2 questions as well as in the middle as well as at the end. So if you are intentionally doing something, that also get highlighted. Then it's not only the character, but it will be a fault where you will not get a even opportunity to face the interview if you do that.
Understood. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you very much.
Is there any
Anything
questions?
else?
Guys, is there any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
So this MBTI is a personality test, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
And according to that, if we take if a person with an INFJ personality,
Yeah,
that would be, he would be a person who is reluctant to talk, right?
exactly. Super.
So will it be any help for him in this interview process? Because it's
No,
like
it's like this. Now it should connect to the position. Now, are we looking at a person who will be in the back office, who will be only doing a computer operating or giving a feedback, not giving a feedback, but a back office job, which you don't need communication or anything to that person. If that's so, yes, we will be taking that person for the interview as well. Always we look at the characteristics along with the position we have in hand. Now, if that position do have a leadership quality, then definitely that person have to be outspoken guy. If that person is coming under that type of a personality, he might not be a good bet. Understood? Okay, so we will always match this personality with what we have in hand. Then if those two doesn't match, then there is a question mark whether to call this person for an interview and double check or to just leave that person without taking him for an interview.
But according to Stanford researchers, they say that it's always charm, that charm takes over the interview.
It depends. It all depends, my dear. It all depends. Because those researchers, what they do is, they do a research and they put out the whatever what they have found it. But some of those are not practical at all. Because I know during my 25 years of a career, how much of an interviews I have conducted and how much of interviews I have seen people who are so charming doesn't show the effectiveness of giving the feedback we wanted those people to give, and they fail at the interview. Charm is good for sales, not for other areas. We need charm for a certain extent, not for all areas, my dear. Then we should have more females in lot of areas when it comes to charm, rather than you get some tough looking guys, right, waiting to get into a job, and they were also selected based on it's nothing to do with the dress do matters, personality do matters, but on top of all that, what you are talking matters much more than that when it comes to the presentation, personal presentation. That will give us an idea of whether this person is focusing on personal development. There are certain charming, nice looking ladies I have interviewed. When you ask some strategic type of a questions, they get stuck. Because they also might have thought, according to that Stanford University feedback, charm is only thing that you will win an interview. If you do that, you will see that person will get failed. Charm matters, but not 100%. Very little amount of that. That is also for certain positions, not for. If you are trying to recruit a receptionist, okay, charm matters because you want that person to be receptive. You don't go into strategic level. Charmness may have a bigger impact when it comes to a receptionist. But for a manager, maybe someone who is looking at the corporate affairs. Charm will do anything? I don't think so. Charm needs, but not for her. Not that much for me. Are you clear on that? Thank you. Good question.
Yes.
So you mentioned about.
Okay. Anything else, or shall we wrap it off?
Sir, you mentioned about attitude needed for an interview.
Can you please volume up your mic?
So you mentioned about attitude needed for an interview.
Can
I
you
can't hear
hear?
you.
Okay.
I can't hear you, dear. Hello? What's the question?
So you mentioned about the attitude needed for an interview.
The question is, so you mentioned about the attitude needed for an interview.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Okay. No, it's like this. The question should be, okay, I was mentioning about this attitude factor on top of qualifications and skills. How are we to understand the attitude? Most of the time, we capture these attitudes to the PI tool and not on the MBTI, but mainly on the psychometric testing. There are a few psychometric tests we can do to understand whether this person is more onto positive orientation or negative orientation. So with that, we always ask the questions, maybe during the interview as well, to double check whether is this the feedback we have already got from the psychometric testing as well. If that confirms, then we always put him or tag him to that level of an attitude. But attitude is something which you can change, which you can always show something completely different, right? Where you will never know until you start working. But onboard planning, now, we also have seen, if I take an example, I will take a classic example on this attitude. Few years back, when I was with commercial bank, we were recruiting bank clerks. You might remember those days, it was not banking trainees. It was bank clerks. And we have only a very short period of a probation period. And during that probation period, we were supposed to understand and confirm them of their ability to perform. Now, you know how important the work of a bank clerk in a branch. They're the people who are in the front end. They're the people who manage millions worth of cash. And we have seen some people did not have that much of a competency, but that came out after a period of maybe 9 to 10 months. So what we wanted at that point was to understand the attitude. Now, when someone starts working, he unintentionally put some clues out where you have a supervisor to understand whether this person is going aligned with the expected norms or not. So that period differs from one person to another. So we wanted this banking trainee scheme to come where we see during that period of traineeship, this person's ability with the attitudes are in line with our expectations or not. Then only we selected few out of the rest who are in that top list, who having the expected level of attitudes for we to venture or we to have the business partnering with them as a employee of that bank. So this attitude part, we will never know until you start doing certain things. I will take this example. You might have a lot of friends. All those friends do have same level of expectations of viewers with them. No. You select few out of the crowd And those are the good and the best friends of yours. Why? Others, you don't go in line with their thought processes. Why? Your level of expectations won't apply to the delivery of those people's things which will not match together. Those very difficult to understand unless you have sat and worked with them. So in a psychometric test, what we do is unintentionally, we are focusing on few very powerful traits which will affect their career and their potentiality. When you assess those, you will have a score of, if the score is more than 50 to 60%, yes, you are in. Because you don't see people who pitch the 80% to 100% because we don't see that. Because that is not there in our bloodstream. We never look at things always positively because we are very emotional. So we always look at people who we can even turn to the progress of theirs as well as for the organization. So when you know the person is this much, then you know, according to the onboarding planning, according to the trainings that or learning sessions that you need to send this person in, and the supervisor's skills to motivate this person, skills to improve this person's ability on that area, then we beforehand we get to know about it and we try to accommodate all those traits when it comes to the onboarding plan. That is what we are doing. Okay.
Last question.
Am I clear? I think that you got clear on what the question was.
There's another question.
Yeah.
Wait, sir. What are the essential elements interviewers expecting to be answered in the question of introducing yourself?
Essential elements interviewers expecting to be answered in the question of introducers.
Okay. When the interview panel asks the question of, okay, introduce yourself, what is the elements that you talk about your personal part first, right? Because you can't go beyond that, okay, without talking about who you are, what's your family background, all that. But blend that with your ability of taking things into your hand and delivering to the benefit of the organization. Some people, when you tell them to introduce themselves, how they start. My mother is working for this company. My father is working for this company. I studied in this college, and I just left this college in this year, and waiting for maybe work for an internship with this company, and that's all. Are there anything that you like to know from me? That is not an introduction. That is all there in the CV. You can start with that, and you blend it with saying that, okay, I have some self-confidence. During my period of my college, I became the senior prefect of the college, not because of just as a person who have got this by default, but I was leading, I was doing things which led the college to these stages. I am a sportsman. I am a colorsman. I did this, and I'm very proud of myself because I have had the ability to convince. I have the ability to make things turn around. That is the introduction. That is the strength you're talking about yourself. If you're ready, you will talk about those. If you're not ready, you will only talk about your mother, father, blah, 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 and just end up that question because you are satisfied with answering the question. Talk about you and what you can do, not who you are. That is the strength. That is what you are hiring, we hire you for. Not for your mother who was working for that company, or father was working for that company. They are not coming to work with us. You are the one who's going to come and work with us. So you have to show that we should take this decision because you have this expected strength. If you don't tell them that you have this strength, how are they That's it, I think, from my end.
Okay, sir.
Hope you all have understood, and hope you all if
I
you
have,
want any
yeah.
more clarification, you can always contact me. You can get the number from Nadun. Thank you very much for providing me with an opportunity, and a great pleasure to work with you as an Interact Club and Rotaract Club, and I love to share my knowledge with you all. And I do lectures to universities, but lately, because of my schedules were so busy I'm having a lot of busy schedules. I was not able to do lectures. I do voluntary visiting lectures, but nowadays I cannot do because of my busy schedules. But nevertheless, I think most of the youths do have some fear about themselves. Nothing to do with the interviews, nothing to do with the interactions. Have self-confidence. That is the most important thing. Mirror yourselves, see yourselves. If you have anything that you can always see as a development area, develop it. Don't wait until someone comes and tells you, okay, yeah, you fellow, you don't have this. Try to have a development plan for that. Not that. If you don't test it at an interview. Do it. All the best. Wish you all the very best, and all the very best for 2021. Be safe and be happy. Thank you very much.
Okay, so then let's end the session. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful speech. I hope everyone learned a great deal regarding interviews. So, on behalf of the team, I sincere thanks goes to our chief guest, Mr. Nalin Ranasinghe, the board of directors of Rotaract Club members, and the audience for making this workshop a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.